right here on the overpass at 174. And while the actual cause of the reason why the driver went into the other lane of traffic is still open, the good news, nobody was seriously injured, and we'll find out if they're going to get cited or if it was a medical issue. We're still trying to determine that. But we're beginning the process of working with some of our counterparts for the 3rd of July coming up. We're just kind of starting to hitting the ground running for staffing and how we're going to implement everything. So hopefully that will come without a catch. Does anybody have any questions?
Anybody from the public have any questions? Yeah, just that way everybody at home can still hear. Thank you, Aaron.
Hi. We've had some new businesses open up at the Fruit Exchange building. When school lets out, there's probably 4 or 5, we're assuming the kids coming out of school. They're literally taking Railroad Street at 60 miles an hour, and it's literally predictable. And so it wouldn't hurt maybe to hang out on the south side of that building one day just to witness it, because it was literally the business owner says, hey, watch this. These people are going to fly through here. And literally 5 minutes later, it was like a freeway. And they're going to kill someone. They're going that fast. Okay. So I just thought I'd bring that up.
Do we know what time?
I don't know what time school gets out. Does anybody know?
So pretty close to when school gets out.
It's very close to that.
Okay.
Within 15 minutes, I would say.
Okay.
But there's probably, I witnessed 5 of them, but it's so frequent. She's like, wait, just give it 3 minutes. They'll be here. And they were.
Okay. We'll give it a look. Anything else?
I'm going to follow up on the documentation on that, whether it be complaints from public to the city in writing, or whether it's you guys issuing warnings, might be really helpful in some of the other efforts that we've got going on with Railroad Street just to have. So maybe we can work together on figuring out what that looks like to try to get that documented, because we want to mitigate that road, and it hasn't been a smooth road, no pun intended, trying to get there. So yeah, I'm just thinking maybe there's a way we can use that documentation in that discussion.
Okay. And also, which brings up a point as a reminder for everybody, please call dispatch when you do see something. Okay. Go ahead and call other folks. That's fine. But please call dispatch so we can start logging these issues. That way we can sit there and either take the necessary actions for our deputies to respond if they're not doing so. But that also gives us the opportunity to see what's going on out there, and allows my boss to allocate more resources if it becomes a problem. Okay, we can sit there, we can track it. We can listen to recordings on dispatch if there's any discrepancies between those that are offering the complaints and then the dispatcher. If there's a mix in communication, we want to make sure that we capture all that information so we can get the resources back out here. So non-emergency number. Yeah, by all means, if it is an emergency, go for it, right? But please call the non-emergency number if it's not an emergency, so.
And just to add on to that, the non-emergency number is 530-886-5375.
Correct.
There you go.
Correct.
I would add to that, I often walk down that road, and this is pretty common. They really fly. And there are also a couple of them, although I don't think they're the students. There are a number of cars that are doing wheelies there and just tearing up that road.
Okay.
They just come along and spin around 5 or 6 times, and the railroad keeps fixing it, or we do, I don't know. And then one other thing, when they're coming from school, rather than turn over toward Grass Valley Street, some of them come straight down the hill, and they run the stop sign on Culver Street, and they go barely slowing down, coming around by the post office.
Mm-hmm.
Just probably a word to parents would be enough for that, I would think.
Okay.
It's kind of dangerous to cross the street sometimes.
And if you do see those cars burning out, doing circles, things like that, please get a description as best as you can. If you do see them, call the non-emergency number, or by all means, if it's so reckless that people are starting to come close to getting into accidents, call 911. That's fine. Give us as much of a description as you can, and we can hopefully do some research.
Harry, come on up. Yes.
Harry Anderson. Back long before you were involved with the sheriff's department here, we used to have our own police department.
Mhm.
And every morning they were at the intersection right here and they would control traffic going in. And then at the end of the day, they would control traffic coming out. And they didn't have the budget you have. So my question is, what's it going to take for us to try to get that between that mess and then the traffic now that gets off the freeway? Because they're working on 49 again, they're doing something, so everybody's figured out this is the shortcut and they are not stopping at those stop signs. So to me, 2 patrol cars, one at Mountain Village and one at the tire store. All you'd have to do, the presence of a black and white's a bigger deterrent to crime than anything else.
Are you asking for monitoring traffic, or are you asking for traffic control?
Yes,
Okay, so traffic control, we can't do that because of calls for service. We
because of what?
calls for service. So we can sit here and monitor traffic. Thank you. But
Right.
if a call comes out, we're leaving.
I see.
And we have too many calls for service in the surrounding areas. Our Colfax car is backing up the car that works Alta, backing up the car that works Meta Vista. They can't necessarily be allocated for several hours at a time to control traffic.
It's about an hour.
Yeah,
Hour in the morning, hour in the afternoon, hour in the evening.
we can sit there and monitor, but if calls come out, we have to leave. So
Well, I think your ticket volume would go up pretty quick.
we've also had people sit out there and they've actually stopped.
Yeah.
So we don't
Okay.
write tickets if they obviously
Okay,
follow the
well,
law.
thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Harry, we don't, we could increase what we pay to the sheriff's department and ask for a traffic deputy and actually have and pay for that as a separate deputy. But right now, we're pretty much working as Sergeant Williams said, so.
Used to be, it started and now almost $1 million. I would think somewhere in there, we got a little bit of leeway.
And everything's gone up a lot in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, those union dues and stuff, you know.
100%.
So we're doing the best we can. And for the traffic coming off of 80, I'm trying to work with Caltrans so that way we can get maybe a sign truck or something out there just to help warn traffic before the Canyon Way exit. The traffic's backing up on Colfax and get some detour of the traffic there if people are noticing it. So hopefully we can work that out with Caltrans. But again, that requires an extra person that Caltrans has to assign. So we got to work that out on what we want to see there. But we are bringing it up as a safety issue because I know people are getting stuck there on the side of the freeway for about 10, 15, 20 minutes
Right.
sometimes. So we'll work that out with Caltrans as best we can and CHP.
Caroline, go ahead. I know, but this way everybody gets to hear it if you guys do the microphones.
So we have been noticing quite a bit more CHP and sheriff activity in town. We've noticed posting up here and there, and we've noticed you guys driving around a lot more. Things behind the old train depot over here by the gazebo have been slowing down, not completely. We've been noticing a little bit more. I feel like I call a lot. And it's irritating for me, and I'm sure it's irritating, but the problem I'm having is weekly on Saturdays, we have the motorcycles running down the sidewalks. I literally chased a 5-year-old who almost took out 3 people coming out of Snapdragon, 3 elderly women. And he almost ate it. My video shows him wobbling because he was trying to slow down. I literally walked down to the end and caught them at the community center, got yelled at by another lady for calling on them. And the problem is, though, this is becoming a weekly occurrence. But we are seeing way more activity from CHP and you guys downtown. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And the e-bike issue is countywide. Okay. At least I can speak on the e-bike side. I know it's a countywide issue. West Roseville and Granite Bay are having some kind of symposium with some of the allied agencies out there to try to educate parents. We have towed an absorbent amount of e-bikes, and we have ticketed a ton of people down there, mostly parents, because they knew that they purchased this bike for their child and they knew that they can't ride it. If we have to, I can talk to the folks that are putting on that symposium to see if they can't come up here. And just, again, a piece of education, right? And hopefully the several $1,000 fine and whatnot could scare enough of the parents to go, let's not do this. I'll talk to them and see if that's going to be doable on their side. And then I'll work with you guys to see if we can come up with a date and a medium to do it. So.
Well, I would hope that the woman being charged on the death of the senior citizen in Southern California that her kid caused might help
I would
slow
hope.
it down a little bit.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, I mean, the parents need to realize they're going to be held liable for these minors and what they're doing.
Correct.
Well, and if that doesn't work, we'll follow suit with the smoking ordinances that cities pass to help. Because we could pass an ordinance that puts direct responsibility on the kids as well. And that's a misdemeanor.
Mm-hmm.
And no one wants their kid getting a misdemeanor.
I got cut off the other day walking across the crosswalk from US Bank toward the bistro. And an e-bike coming down Grass Valley Street, probably 30 miles an hour, cut me off in the crosswalk, and there was 3 kids on it. You know, it's just not going to end well. That's my concern. You know, maybe we need an ordinance like Trinity was suggesting. You know, we can do that.
Yeah, it's
And,
the
and
last resort, but
well, and I know Sergeant Renner is looking at the ordinances and what we need to put in. So she's working on it. Carrie?
She's telling the truth. I witnessed it. And that kid was on a mini bike that had a 50cc engine on it and he was wide open.
Did anybody call?
Yeah. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Okay.
You know, so there were a lot more besides both, and she did chase him all the way down to the next alley. The other thing is, talking with my partner today, who lives in Rockland, they have the same problem. They're confiscating him.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they get a parent's attention real quick if $4,000 is missing.
That's correct. Yep.
Got to keep the laws to catch up to technology and what the kids are doing. So
Exactly.
we'll get there. All right. Well, thank you so very much. We
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. CHP.
Good evening, everybody in council. Jason Lyman, Gold Run CHP, Public Information Officer. I apologize, I wasn't able to be here at all last month. I did have some stats here for, I'm gonna do for both months, but starting with March, we issued 1,008 citations and had a total of 1,442 enforcement contacts. We did 287 motorist services. We had 16 arrests. 13 of those were DUI related. Thankfully, no fatality collisions. We had a total of 14 collisions. 7 were injuries involved and 7 were property damage only. And then in the month of April, we had 751 citations, 1,173 total enforcement contacts, 263 motor services, 20 arrests, 11 of those were DUI related. Again, no fatal collisions, and we had 25 collisions. 9 of those were injury collisions and 16 of those were property damage only collisions. So we're out there trying to make a difference here. Some of the biggest thing I wanted to talk about on tonight is the construction. I mean, it is in full swing right now, and it will be the entirety of summer until the snow runs them off. They're going to be Monday through Friday midday, pretty much from about the rest area all the way past Highway 20 is going to be down to single lane in both directions. They've got approximately 10 different projects that they're working on in that location. And they're constantly, working on the right side here, the left side here, the right side here. So it's quite a mess, but got to get it done. But please bring your patience and leave a little early. Don't be thinking you're going to make any time getting to Tahoe through this summer. It's going to be tough. They're currently in the process of knocking down the 80-20 bridge right now. They've got Highway 20 is closed at 80. They have multiple signage in Nevada City area telling them that. They're trying to turn everybody around way down there, but there's a, complete closure there at the 80-20 bridge. You cannot get past there because they're actively knocking down the bridge onto the lanes there. And that's hopefully will be the knocking down portion. They're hoping to have that done by middle of next week. But I don't know how long the cleanup is going to actually take on that before they can open that back up to get, normal traffic flow through that area. That's the biggest hurdles we're going to have in this area for this summer. They're also doing a tremendous job on the fire wood, the cutting down the trees on the westbound side up there, starting at Blue Canyon on the way down. They're doing the right shoulder and the center divider. You should see some of the machines that they've got working in there. They're quite impressive, and they're making tremendous amount of difference in there, cutting back that brush and the trees and stuff. It's amazing how much they've gotten done in the last few weeks or so. I know that's a huge issue for this area with all the truck fires and everything, and so that is going to definitely make a tremendous amount of difference. There's still going to be truck fires. There's always going to be some of those, but now at least the brush and the tree line is being moved back considerably from the traffic lanes, so which will give the fire department a lot more time to get there and get it put out before it spreads right up into the forest. Does anybody have any questions for me? Yes.
With Harry Anderson, with the new laws that we have in California in regards to you guys, how do you interpret the new law that says you need to move over if there's one of your vehicles or a Caltrans or something parked on the shoulder? It looks like it's pretty intense from what I read.
Yes, it is. And it's not a new law. It's been in effect for at least 5 years, probably longer than that. But anytime there is any kind of emergency vehicle, whether it's a police, a fire, tow truck, Caltrans, any of that stuff, if they're on the shoulder with their lights activated, you have to move over to the next lane over, whether they're in the left lane or the right lane, whichever way you have to move, or you have to make a very considerable slowdown. Not, while I was doing 80 and now I'm down to 75, that does not cut it, okay?
Right.
It's like very obvious way slowing down, trying to move over, making it very obvious that you are making an attempt to do what you can do.
Right.
Obviously, if the other lane is completely packed, you can't get over, you need to be making it so anybody would look at you and say, yeah, he's trying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is what the law is requiring.
The reason I ask is because it seems to be a lot of emphasis now on social media about that law
Mhm.
and a couple other ones.
Yeah, we're, like I said, this isn't new. This has been out there for a long time, but we're trying to push that out there and making it more known. For the first few years that we did it, we pretty much only gave warnings for that, and it's just not enough. They're not getting the picture, and so we've launched, social media campaigns, and, there's advertisements, all the Caltrans trucks and tow trucks and everything have big old signs on there, slow down, move over, it's the law, it's very much out there in your face, and people are just not choosing to follow it. And so their next step is to really start enforcing that. And it is, I don't know what, I mean, every county has their own things, but it's a pretty considerable fine
Yeah.
if you get
I think it was
stopped
a
for
grand.
that.
It was $1,000.
And it would not surprise me.
Yeah.
And, something that a lot of people don't realize is, if there a citation, if it says like, for instance, you see on the carpool lanes, oh, it's a $400 fine or whatever. That is the base fine. Then the court, the county, everybody else adds their portion in there, and it's double or triple what that
Exactly.
says. And so gets up there pretty fast.
I think the state figured out that you can't fix stupid, but you can charge for it.
Yeah, so when in doubt, the easiest way to remember is you want to drop down to hazard light speed, which is at least if you're 10 miles below the speed limit, you are supposed to turn on your hazard lights. So you need to drop down at least 10 miles below the posted speed limit, which in a construction zone is going to be about 55. So you're going to want to come down to 45 and put your hazard lights on if you can't get over. You definitely want to put your hazard lights on though. That way no one comes up behind you going 80, and they might still do it, but at least you'll have your lights on.
Well, and Caltrans has stepped up their signage in regards to Highway 20 and all the work up there, because I know all the way down in Roseville, they're up on the billboards saying, 40 miles ahead, all that stuff. So they are working very hard to get the word out. Not that, you have to read the sign for it to work, but they're putting their best effort forward
Yes.
on it. So, all right. Any other questions?
I have one comment for that. I drove through about 5 or 6 other states last month. And in several of them, they had the same blue and amber lights that you guys have on the transportation department trucks.
Mhm.
And that was very effective on the interstate.
Yes.
Because they always thought it was the police, and you never knew if it was or not till you got there.
In California, they are not allowed to have anything other than their amber lights on there. I understand what you're saying, and I personally agree. You throw a blue light on there and it really gets people's attention. But in California, the law is they are only allowed to have the amber lights on the tow trucks and Caltrans and stuff like non-enforcement vehicles. Mhm.
Thank you. All right. Placer County Fire, Cal Fire.
Good evening, Clint Siebert, Battalion Chief here for Placer County Fire and Cal Fire. For us, I don't have any stats for this last month. They haven't got out yet, and that's due to because we're starting our busy training season. So we're full swing right now. Multiple trainings, super busy week and month for us right now. Trying to get field projects done and people up to speed and peak staffing and all that we have going on. So we are at peak staffing. We have been since back in March. For all of our ground resources. All of our aircraft come online June 17th. So that's the Type 2 helicopter that you see, the Huey, out of Bowman Station. And then all the aircraft that comes out of Grass Valley. So that's all showing up June 17th. And we're preparing for them to start onboarding and getting ready for the potential of fire season. With all the rain that we have been getting, we do have a very large grass crop, and we do have potential out there for more fires this year as things dry out. With that, we are preparing multiple fuel reduction projects here in the area. We do have everything set at the wastewater treatment plant. Lines are put in and everything's ready to go. So as that comes online, you'll see us put a big push out for information of what we're doing down there, and we'll be doing a broadcast burn in the area. So that's 21 to 25 acres that we'll be able to treat and kind of take some of that fuel risk out of that area there for fires coming up out of the canyon. And then we're also looking at a couple of different areas out of Burnt Flat. We have at least 12 acres we're planning on burning, but the potential up to roughly 100. but we're looking at 12 to start and then probably do another portion of that in the fall. So as things dry out, we'll kind of see what the potential is and what we can get done, and then we'll go from there. But we will push out those notifications. So you will see smoke in the area as we complete those projects. And it should just be 1 to 2 day stints on each project. So not a long-term thing. It should be smoke in the area for 1 or 2 days, and then it should clear out. That's our plan. But we'll let you guys know as we get closer and those projects are set to begin. The Placer Sear Fire Safe Council did have the large project that they're working on through the fuel reduction on 80. They're going to start at the top of Blue Canyon and work their way down. They've done a really good job of getting some info out on that project and starting that. We're very excited to see the amount of work that they are doing, and we hope that as that project continues, they have enough monies to keep traveling downhill and eventually finish that project all the way down through the Applegate area. So we're very excited about that project to get going, and hopefully that it can continue. We did have a bunch of promotions, and we're still having them come out. So there's a lot of movement in our department right now with the creation of new positions. So Chief Ryan Wosner did promote into Jimmy Hudson's spot. So Chief Hudson is now our unit chief. Chief Wosner is now our second in charge operations chief. So we're happy to have him officially with us in that role. And then we did have 2 new battalion chief jobs open up that are my partners here locally in Colfax. And you'll see them around. It's Chief White and Chief Brigard. And I believe both of them have made it to a couple meetings here. So I think you guys have seen them around now. So you'll see them a lot more as we have some of the events in town, 3rd of July and things like that we're preparing to get going, and we'll be assisting with those. The last thing I have is burn permits are required now as of May 1st. So if you want a burn permit, you have to go through the online system. We don't give out paper permits anymore. So you have to go through the system. If you're looking just for a residential burn permit, you go on there, you fill out the quick info, and it gives you a permit right there. I can see it in the system, but I never have to do anything with it. If you're burning a larger pile or a broadcast burn that you're planning on your property, you'll submit that paperwork. It's called LE5 for the large piles or LE7 for the broadcast burns. It comes to me in the system. I'll contact the homeowner and then come out and do a site inspection, make sure you have everything you need, make sure it's doing it safely, and then we'll sign off on it. And it'll be a date range, and then I know that that's coming and that project's underway. So there are some tabs on that. And then the last thing I'll add is when you're burning, always make sure it's permissible burn day. So call air quality control. They control that, make sure it's permissible burn day, and then you're clear to burn. And that's all I have. Unless
Thank
there are
you
any
so
questions.
much. Do we have any questions? None from you guys? All right. Thank you so much. Okay, do we have any of our nonprofits that want to do a report this evening? Eric? Go ahead.
Hello, good evening. Erin Newington with the Historic Colfax Downtown Association. I wanted to start off by just thanking the City Council and the City of Colfax for the $5,000 grant. I want you to know that there is absolutely no way we could have pulled this concert off without it. It gave us the momentum we needed to know that our basic, well, not our basic costs covered, but certainly a head start, which allowed us to go out and get sponsorships. And we did a fundraiser at the Red Frog. And I just sincerely, from the bottom of our hearts, from our organization, you guys made that possible. So thank you very much. Let's see. So just for a reminder for the public, it's 5 free concerts from May through September. It's going to be in the Art of Lot Park. Is that what you guys call it? Lot of Art Park on South Main. We're going to be closing South Main down this time. We don't really like to do that, but what we've realized is that frankly, we don't know what the turnout's going to be. We have brought in some really great regional bands and some professionally touring bands, internationally touring bands, a couple of them. And so they all have their own crowds that are going to come as well. And so just to fit everybody in the park, we have to push some of what we would normally set up in the park out into the street and to make everybody more comfortable. I did want to mention, like, our lineup is it's really going to be great music, and we're super excited about that. So we'll have anything from blues, Americana, country, folk, and we have like a funk band, which should be super fun. And we're really excited for what this is going to do for Colfax. I did want to ask, I don't know, like I said, I have no idea the turnout. When we did our first concert, it was, not that many people, to be frank. And then by the time we got to our second concert, we were completely overwhelmed. And I think, we're doing a great job at staffing people and having, our own eyes watching the concert and such. But I don't know how much level help we could get from like a sheriff perspective to help with that.
You can contact them and they'll give you a document to fill out that is for you to pay for extra officers if they have some available.
Is that, I know in the past, it was mentioned that there is some kind of a grant or some kind of a support set of money set aside, because you guys mentioned 3rd of July and that they were coordinating.
The 3rd of July paid for a bunch of the extra services that they had from the sheriff.
Okay.
But I mean, you can put the request in. I don't know.
Yeah, so the way that we have our contract structured, we do have a certain number of hours available within that contract that are covered for special events. And so if within your event application that you're putting in, you do fill that out just to let us know what the need is. We would
look permit itself.
Yeah, so we would look to see, okay, and like Carolyn mentioned, you would still fill out the sheriff's department form, so we would find out how many hours of service are necessary for the event. We would see how much is available within the contract that can help cover it. And then if there is a supplemental left over, we would work together with you guys to figure that out, because a lot of times with the nonprofit groups, we've done whatever we can to ease that burden where possible. But to Carolyn's point, 3rd of July has paid for a good chunk since it is such a large event. So it just depends on what the need is.
Yeah.
All that to say, as long as you give us all the info, we can work with you.
Yeah. And to be frank, we don't have a budget to pay you. I'm just being straight up with you. Every penny is going back into this free event for the community. And the problem is it's an unknown. Like 3rd of July is clearly a massive thousands and thousands. We're not going to be that event.
Right.
But what if?
But to that point, though, because it is a smaller event with a more controlled scale, what we can also do, and we've done in the past for small events, is we can coordinate with other nonprofits to help with things like traffic control and parking. And I know the Lions Club has stepped up many, many times. So have other nonprofits to help out with, they put a vest on, they help out with just sort of regulating so things go smoothly. And that way that we can kind of keep the sheriff's office on their job. And every now and again, I am so sorry, I can't remember the name of your guys' youth organization that sometimes volunteers to help. What's that? The Explorer program, yes. So sometimes what they'll be able to do is they may not be able to send multiple deputies, but they may have explorers available. So as long as they have someone to chaperone them, because they do have to have a deputy chaperone, sometimes they can have the explorers come do it, and they are fully uniformed also, which does help.
Right. And I don't know if we'll need it. I guess I just wanted you guys to be aware that it was happening and make sure we cover those bases. So real quick, today I attended the Visit Placer Tourism Summit. It was a very wonderful event, and I'm super grateful to be there. They mentioned that Placer County is now a $1.6 billion tourism economy, growing at more than double the state average. And the conversation all day was pretty much about authentic experiences and reasons to pass through. And there was a lot of good nuggets there for us as Colfax and for our organization and how we can start implementing that. It's exactly what our mission is, right? To bring people to downtown historic district and keep them here. Let's see. I did want to mention that we received some feedback today, which was huge, from a local restaurant that complimented us on our events and the amount of traffic that we drive to their restaurant, and that they have to plan in advance for extra staff, which is exactly what our mission is. And so that's the biggest compliment that we could receive. And I also wanted to end with, we're super excited. We've been doing the Colfax's bazaars for about a year now. And we're super excited that there's 3 brand new businesses with brand new city licenses or permits or whatever we're calling them, in that space. And it's been a long time since we've seen that kind of activity. And we think that's huge.
Thank you, Erin. Okay, do we have any other nonprofits for this evening? Does not look like it, and it doesn't look like Caltrans joined us tonight, so we will move on. We don't have any presentations this evening, but the next item is a public hearing to add chapter 12.28 to the Colfax Municipal Code, establishing an entertainment zone in the downtown historic district for our events. City Manager, can you please introduce this item?
Yes. I'd like to use this time services here to discuss the establishment of this entertainment zone. Once you have your question. PowerPoint presentation.
And if you're not able to find it, it's okay. I can. There we go. Awesome. Okay, again, I'm Kathy Pease, and I'm here to bring forward a potential entertainment zone ordinance. Next slide. So this came about because recently the state approved Senate Bill 969, which became effective last year. It authorizes cities to establish an entertainment zone where patrons are able to consume alcohol purchased from local bars and restaurants on public streets, sidewalks, and rights of way during permitted events. The intent of this is really to spur economic development, another tool to hopefully bring folks down to downtowns. And it does require that a local ordinance must be passed to designate certain areas where this could occur. Next slide. Back one. This proposal would add a new section to the municipal code outside the zoning ordinance. So it would be in the streets, sidewalks, and right-of-way section of the municipal code. And it would establish an entertainment zone during city-sanctioned special events in the downtown historic district. These could be such as the 3rd of July or Railroad Days. The zone would operate Friday and Saturday and designated holidays, which would be local federal holidays from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 to 9 p.m. This would be allowed in our downtown historic district, and this map shows the area that during special events we could have this entertainment zone. Next slide. So there are some limits. It's limited to beer, 12 ounces or less, wine, 5 ounces or less, and mixed drinks, 12 ounces or less. All beverages must be served in a city-approved non-glass, non-metal container, such as branded plastic cups. And participants must be 21 years or older, and they'd have to be identified by a city-approved wristband, stamp, or similar method. Someone would have to check their ID and make sure that they're over 21 in order to get a wristband. We looked at this. The city of Colfax found that the adoption of this would be exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act. Next slide. So the recommendation tonight is to introduce the proposed ordinance by title only, conduct a public hearing, and then if it is approved, it would come back to the city council for a second reading on May 27th, and then it would go into effect after that.
Perfect. Thank you, Kathy. Before we open it up to the public for questions, we did receive one email. Everybody on the dais does have a copy of it from one of our constituents, and it does just express a couple of concerns, which are average ones to expect involving, what the security is and, open beverage and whatnot. So this is just to clarify something that's only for events themselves. It's not every weekend whatsoever. An event organizer would basically apply to say we want to, institute this entertainment zone, and they would work carefully with the city and the sheriffs to make sure that it's fully covered and they know that all their rules. Entertainment or organizers have to provide their own security anytime they do a bar anyways. It's part of their ABC license. So they would still have to do that in addition to putting signage up where that space ends. So, like I say, the entertainment zones as a general rule, like Auburn does it all over the weekend. Ours right now is written specifically for events if organizers want to implement them. And one of the other reasons also is I don't know, I know it's happened at railroad days before, but parents have literally left their kids in the kid zone and gone to the beer garden and left their kids unattended. This way, we don't have to have that separation at this point, and parents can actually watch their children the entire time. So, all right, I'm going to open it up to public questions or comments. Please do come up to the podium if you have any questions or comments that you'd like to make.
Okay, Erin Newington with the Historic Colfax Downtown Association. I'd like to say that we love this ordinance. It is super helpful, especially, when we've done concerts in the past, people had to abandon their drink to go to the bathroom kind of situation. So that would be super helpful. And I appreciate that we're taking this on. I know that, it could look risky to a lot of people, but we already have a designated spot in the community seating area that seems to not be having an issue. So I would just express that it would be super awesome if we could keep it as written, like Auburn did, and allow this to happen on the weekends, because I do feel like it drives traffic to our businesses. I totally understand the concerns of somebody being irresponsible with it, I guess, but there's something cool about keeping people being able to order a glass of wine and go stroll the shops and stay longer. But I don't know of any issues that has occurred at the public seating area. It's never come up at the city council. But I think it would really help the downtown businesses, and it wouldn't just benefit the ones that have an alcohol license for the day or whatever. It would benefit all the shops. And so I don't know. I would just want to put that out there, and maybe you could consider it. And maybe we have to test the waters on event days and see how we behave. But it would be nice. There is a couple things that I don't know if there's been a modification. I only have the version that I saw online, but I feel like there's some blank areas in it, to be honest. There doesn't seem to be any kind of criteria or process or standard on how these events are chosen. So I don't know if there's been a modification on that or what that looks like. And there's been examples of, a nonprofit organizations as an example of someone who would be allowed, or I'm not sure how to word that. And I think it needs to be more broad and not give an example of an organization, and just have more of a structure on what that process might look like and who would qualify. Let's see.
So the clarification that we had is kind of vague. It says city sanctions special events. So I left that broad, assuming that gives city some ability to regulate that without calling out specifics, but it's up to the council if you want that better defined.
I just think from a policy perspective, just to have that cut a problem out before it gets there is how I look at it, and just define what a city sponsored event is. Omit the information about another organization in there. I don't think that's typically included. I don't know. You do this for a living, but just make more of a process, I guess, is what I'm asking. But I think it's huge for Colfax. I appreciate that you're taking on, I guess, the risk of seeing if this will work. And I think it's great for Colfax.
Thank you, Erin. Do we have any other comments?
So my only concern is with the comment on the public seating areas. I'm not sure how that works. I do understand that if there's a special event, our insurance has to cover our event. I don't know how that works for just every weekend, but I do know that Lead down at the pizza parlor does pay for insurance for that outside seating area, and that beer and wine is allowed, alcohol is allowed in that area. But in the seating area in front of the wrecking crew and that end, there is no alcohol allowed in that area. There is no insurance that covers that. So I'm not sure how that works. That would be my concern of, every weekend policy. If it's a special event, I know that insurance covers those events, so I'm not sure how that would work.
Yes, and that's how this is written right now. It is only in conjunction with a special event. Where it says it's allowed on the weekends, it's because special events are allowed on the weekends. So right now, it's not in this ordinance that it would be open just to have an entertainment zone on the weekends. So it has to be associated with a special event.
All right. Go ahead, Aaron.
Harry Anderson. 20 years ago, the city council was faced with a difference of opinion on how the law enforcement would be for the 3rd of July. And what was finally rendered was because it was going to be an additional $40,000 for coverage for that one day by the sheriff's department, above and beyond the budget. And so what finally came to light was there was a grant, and I don't know if the name has changed, but it was called basically the California Cop Grant money, which just happened to be $40,000. And the city council voted for that, and that's what paid for the additional service. I don't know if the name has changed, but it was a $40,000 grant that you don't have to use it all in one throw, but maybe for some of this special event like you're talking about.
That covers part of our contract with the sheriffs and allows us the ability to have those special event hours within our contract. So it's already wrapped in. So that is,
Hours is it?
I don't remember, but I can get that for you.
Okay. No, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, my name's Renee Zarnicki, and my concern is for the children. These events are family oriented, and you got children walking all over the place. I've been in places where they spill on you, and it changes the whole atmosphere when people are walking around drinking. You have 12 ounces of a mixed drink. That just doesn't make sense with children if it's a community event where it's children involved. It's not comfortable, especially, they have drinking going at home. They can't even go to a place and just have fun. You're going out and it's creating a whole different atmosphere. It's not safe. And also they could put a bathroom where they have the drinks served. They can put a bathroom there so they can go to the bathroom there and not have to leave. And, a lot of restaurants, you can't even go past the point. It says no alcohol past the point in restaurants. I just don't think it's a good thing for Colfax to have alcohol walking around the events. Now, when they're having these concerts, most kids aren't there. That's a whole different thing. But 4th of July and other events where all these kids are involved, I don't think it's a good idea for Colfax. How are we drawing people? Is it for the alcohol or is it for the family event? That's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments from the public? Okay, then we will bring it back to council. Because I was part of the drive asking the city to look into this, I do want to put a couple clarifying comments. Aaron, to go with what you were saying, this really is the test trial and the baby steps to see where we can go with it. And the hope would be as we get more businesses in that are slowly coming, that there would be more that would be able to participate in it. At this time, you only have 2 that would be able to do it. So this was the baby step to get to that point. And as to the events, this is just the ordinance to put in place. The fine details and stuff will come after the fact and get put onto the event application and talk about the cups and all that stuff. So kind of what we were asking about what events, that stuff will be the second stage of what we're doing. I worked with, I talked to Auburn about their ordinance when they put it in and any issues they've been having. I've had conversations with the sheriff as well and their concerns over it. And I've actually also had several conversations with organizers that run the beer gardens and to the challenges that they have and they see in there. And a lot of it is people trying to bring their kids into there. And also when you have a beer garden, all your drinking is super concentrated and can often be more, there would be more drinking than if they were actually out and about and strolling and seeing the other parts of the event. So what we've seen and from the people I've talked to, this actually kind of dissipates some of those concerns because they're not sitting there, we're going to sit in the beer garden and do nothing but drink because they don't have that location anymore to do that. So it's actually been found from the people that I've spoken to that it's actually alleviated some of the issues that do happen in the beer garden areas. So, all right, that's the end of my commentary. To the council, any questions or motions?
Yeah, I got a comment. So under section 12.28.010, location and hours, can we just put hours 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.? Because a lot of our events happen during the week. 3rd of July bounces around and stuff. And if we limit it to Friday, Saturday, and Sunday or holidays, because 3rd of July is not an actual holiday for the state or fed.
Right. I didn't catch that.
So it happens all the days of the week.
Yeah.
So I don't want to.
But I think it also
days kind of spreads out.
doesn't it specify though, like city sanctioned events? So it takes it
Yeah.
out of that. So as long as the city sanctions it, it doesn't matter what day of the week it's falling on.
Right, but it's in here, it's in here in the
recommend
ordinance, it specifies those
Yeah,
hours.
I would recommend editing this to say,
Just 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Or
I wouldn't even want to
Or
put
do-
the time period if we're able to modify that more broadly because, you know, unless there's been a very specific restriction on we want everyone to stop holding their glass at 10 p.m. Some events, like in the past, I don't know what current plans for the future might be, but in the past, Railroad Days has had like a dance at the very end of the night on one of the days. And that sometimes can go really late and it's fun. And I don't want people to, you know, be like, oh, I better go throw my cup away. It's 10 p.m. You know, so I'd like the city to have the flexibility when we're doing the permitting for the event to not be restricted to a 10 p.m. cutoff if we've already negotiated with the sheriff's office.
Can we make it to just follow state law, which isn't that like 7 a.m. to 2 p.m., 2
Do
a.m.
you
is that?
really want a bunch of people drinking on the street at 7 a.m. or 2 a.m.?
No, I mean, that's what I'm asking. I mean, because mimosas at 7, you know.
I did.
But I didn't know if that was the better option to follow state law on that one or just leave it open.
We can also
10
handle that.
10 p.m.
with a
also-
separate Ordinance.
Yeah, and 10 p.m. also falls in with our noise ordinance too. So that we could put unless special consideration from city council or city managers
Yeah.
approve or special
Yeah.
approval. That
And
way
again-
we can add those little caveats, but we can keep it with our noise ordinance and when we try and end all our events at 10 p.m. and then we can start, you know, nobody's gonna go out and start enforcing it immediately at 10 o'clock, I don't think.
Well, as
It'll
long as
be
you stop
wind it down.
serving, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's different, but the way that I'm reading the ordinance, it doesn't necessarily say it only applies to the stoppage of service.
No, it says, yeah, it
Yeah.
says
So that's
You're done.
that's my concern with the time period is like, you know, I would be okay with handling by separate ordinance, you know, because I really wanted to structure and look at our current application process for events, because right now I feel like there is a lot of ambiguity and maybe we don't need an ordinance, but maybe we just need to make it a lot more transparent and easier for people. But regardless, I think that's the right location to put those restrictions. And then this, because this is covering just the ability to hold a glass in general, you know, we should separate that zone where you're allowed to drink from the restrictions on serving.
Agreed. So I like that stop of service.
You
Do we
just-
have any other?
would you want to do stop a service an hour earlier then? And then,
I would say that event by event, I mean, I know in the past, and maybe Toby could speak to this, but I know a lot of times for like 3rd of July, we try to cut off at 9 p.m.
yep,
And I mean, I'm cool with that, but yeah, I think if we just put the stop of service,
can we do that and then say have the cutoff at 10 p.m. for drinking on the street or something
that'd be good.
without additional approval? And
Yeah,
we can make sure we update our event application so that you can mark if you're getting an ABC license and the hours
Yeah.
you want to operate, so we can immediately approve it. So it's not a big rigmarole to get this done and say that you can drink inside those hours in that space.
And I hate to get hung up on the nuance there, but I think it is important and due diligent for us to clean that up, just because while it may seem like common sense to us now,
Yep.
the next people up here who end up revising or looking at the ordinance may read it very differently, and we don't want to set them up for failure. So,
No,
um,
good points.
on that note, I was hoping you could clarify the metal containers. What's with the metal container restriction? Is that just because we don't want people holding beer cans?
I took this from Auburn's example. I think the most important is not to have the glass. So
Yeah, I don't care about metal containers, to be honest with you, because if they're serving them in a can, I don't want to create more litter for no reason. And I also am not opposed to people using those metal solo cups either. I don't care about that. So if we can just cut
Okay.
that.
Councilmember Burris,
Yeah,
if I might jump in here, I believe that's a requirement of state law.
is it?
I, I,
Okay.
I think so. I can I'll look it up and confirm.
Yeah,
But I believe the non-metal containers comes from the state law authorizing these entertainment zones.
okay. Well, I
And
mean, if it's state law, but if not, like, let's not create more garbage for no reason if we don't have to.
yeah, let me look that up for you. And if I can make one suggestion on the hours of operation, I think that is not set by state law. Kathy, correct me if I'm wrong here.
correct.
So what you
Yeah.
could do is just delegate authority to the city manager to set the hours of the entertainment zone on a permit by permit basis. So you could
With
amend
that.
amend this, take out the kind of Friday and Saturday 10 to 10, take out that language and just say city manager has discretion to set hours on an event by event, application by application basis.
I appreciate that, and I'm gonna go ahead and say I think what Sean proposed is reasonable and kind of sets a clear boundary that we don't have to squabble over later, because I don't want to put the city manager in a position either where one event got a privilege and another event didn't, and now we're squabbling over who gets what. So I think it'd be good to just have one cutoff that aligns with our prior practice for safety reasons.
Yeah, but something that still leaves enough leeway in the city manager's decision making to, if we know we have an event that's going to go till 11 o'clock or whatever, because it's already been planned and approved. And
Connor, when you check in on the metal container, just make sure to clarify if it includes beer cans, because I think that is the question right there, because it would be lame to have to pour every beer into a cup without a doubt. I would imagine it's in there because they don't want people bringing their at-home cups and who knows what's in it. So if we just have to specify, only those containers provided by the vendor or disposable metal containers or something. So.
Yeah, I'm looking at it for you right now.
Thank you.
I'll follow
Yeah.
up on that one.
Madam Mayor, just for the people sitting in the audience that don't recognize Connor Harkins as the city attorney, and he's making the comments on it.
Okay, do we have any other questions, comments from the council, or can we get a motion?
I do.
Yes.
I think we do need ordinance, but it doesn't need detail. We have broad guidelines in the ordinance, and that the application process can be event unique. And I don't have any problem with, given that there'll be a lot of time from the time the application comes in the event, there is time for the city manager and the staff to figure out what's unique about this and what can we do. And one other comment, we should require liability insurance. That should be mandated in part of the ordinance. And that's fine. That's good. That's good. And the last thing, what a lot of events do, I go to a lot of festivals, and they provide a container. And it's a souvenir container that people pay for. And it can be made of things like bamboo or plastic or whatever. And then you know exactly what they have. You don't have a different container every place they get it. And it controls things a little better, and it limits the litter. That's something to think about. But again, I don't know that it needs to be in the ordinance, but our ordinance should be broad enough to allow it. And other than that, I think that I don't think people will drink any more when they're on the street than they do when they're inside the establishments or at the place where they buy it. I think this is manageable, and if it isn't, we're going to learn about it pretty quickly. That's all I have to say.
And just for the public, if you've never hosted an event before, when you do get an alcohol license, it is very controlled. You go through ABC, you go through the city, you go through the sheriff. Everybody is a player into it. So they make sure that everything's done on the up and up so that there's not any vagueness. And yes, all the event insurances are required to be held the liability. And when you're getting in your insurance, they also make sure that if you're running alcohol, that's an extra addition to what you're paying for your insurance. So that's all covered as well.
If I may, Kathy, are you up to speed with all the requested changes?
I know. If you guys could articulate again what you'd like me to change, because I want to make sure I get it right before it comes back for second reading.
I'll mention one that I forgot to mention. We have to be specific on where, boundaries.
We have.
Those need to be fixed and mandated and part of the ordinance.
That's
Right.
included. We had to include a map showing where it's allowed.
Okay, so we would like the section with the location hours changed to, we said 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. was acceptable with a 9:30 cutoff for service. Or 9 o'clock cutoff for service. Unless prior approval was received from the city manager.
Great. Thank you.
Nothing else solved it.
And then we already
glass
struck
or
the
the metal.
days of the week thing.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, it'd be-
Yeah. So as
Just
long as
gonna
we
add it,
struck
yeah.
that, then that's.
And then Connor on the non-metallic question.
Yes.
Yeah, that is written into state law, and I'm assuming Caroline's right. It's because they don't want people carrying beer cans out of a bar. But it does require the city to establish which approved non-glass and non-metal containers are authorized.
Okay, guess we won't make that change, huh?
There is somebody's opportunity for recycling money right there.
Yeah.
All right.
I like the city sanctioning part of it. I think that should stay. And one good thing about events only is that there's always someone putting on the event. And so the responsibility is in one place. And I think that's necessary. So we know who owns this and who's responsible for any issues that come up, and make sure that they're either insured or bonded or something. I think that's part of the licensing, though. I'm not sure.
All right. So Kathy's got her changes down. Can we have a motion then?
Move to approve item 5A
I
With the
second it.
changes.
with changes.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Nobody's
Thank
opposed.
you, Kathy.
Thank you so much, Kathy. All right. So our motion passes. Add chapter 1228 with changes, and we'll bring it back for the second reading at our next meeting. Thank you very much. All right. Got notes all over the place. All right. We're going to move into public comment. So every member of the public has the opportunity to address the city council for comment. At this time, you may speak to the council on any item that is not on the agenda. The council cannot act on time at this time. However, we can refer things to staff for follow-up if needs be. Please come to the podium, speak your name clearly and at your discretion. You can put your address if you want and make your comments brief. You have 5 minutes. Do you have your magic controller? If not, we can operate a cell phone for a timer.
My name's Renee, and I'd like to know, PG&E has torn up our roads. So who's going to fix those? Who's going to fix that? Because they're really bad, the roads.
Hopefully PG&E.
If you can
Hopefully,
take
you guys don't
pictures,
know? Huh?
if you could take pictures and send them over to the city of any damage that's been done by PG&E or any other utility, then the city can follow up and they will be held responsible for repairing any damage that they've done.
I mean, so who's going to fix the roads? That's missing the whole point because they're
It-
terrible.
If it would be,
Because there's holes and, I mean, more than usual. This whole thing that they've done is terrible. And I've lived here for years.
So if it's regular maintenance and regular degradation, it's the city who will be responsible for repair. If it is a third party such as PG&E, PCWA, or any other utility that's caused the damage, they will be responsible for the repair.
So they're not gonna they're not gonna make the roads better than they are because they made our roads bad. So they're not liable to fix them and make them smoother. All the roads that they have done over here, all the work.
Are you talking about along Placer Hills Road where they were
Yeah.
undergrounding?
Yeah, it's terrible.
So what we can do at the city level, because that is outside of our jurisdiction, is we can work with the county and subsequently PG&E.
Okay.
To make sure that
somebody,
it's
yeah,
really done.
I hope they have to pay for it.
So
It's terrible.
yes, whoever does the damage is fiscally responsible and in some cases even responsible for actually hiring the contractor and getting the work done. So it just depends, but if you send the written information, especially if you do have any pictures, having some kind of documentation from a citizen who says, I don't like this, I'm not happy, it's not right. It really helps us in our coordination with these third parties to say it's not just us trying to get them to pay for something we want done.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do we have any other public comment this evening?
Harry Anderson, known at 2024 as the 3rd of July guy, thanks to Kim Douglas, who gave me that moniker. I'm passing that out. I'd like to say that we're going to donate our design time for the 2026 3rd of July. And being that that look is something that we created, we just wanted to augment it because we know the 50th anniversary is a big deal. And we'd like that to continue. And also, I would like to request that we get to do the actual production this time. I know there's a difference of opinion, but being that I'm in that business, I've noticed what the county can produce, and it's a lesser quality. The color bright is not there. The fabric thickness is not there. So, and the difference is we'll install like I did in 24. All the businesses got the in-store piece, which is the cover piece. Posted those, hung up the intersection of Mountain Village and did the Sierra Market hotel thing. The only thing, of course, we need help with is the downtown banner, getting that put up, which can be done pretty easy. So anyway, that's all I have to say. We want to be, I am local for 37 years, so keeping the business within local would be appreciated. And that's about it. But yeah, all I can say is right now, Hot August Nights is having their 40th anniversary. There's going to be a lot of traffic. They're already doing their spring deal anniversary now. There's going to be a lot of car traffic. So if we get the ability to do this, we'll be up and ready to put everything up 1st of June. So you have a full 30 days, or we can do it sooner. We can get our product in 3 days. So anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment this evening? Okay, we will move right on to council and staff and start with our committee reports. Sean, you want to kick us off?
It's been pretty slow for it being 3 weeks of no council meetings. Did right after our last our special council meeting. Are you having to wait? I'm done, huh? Right after the last special council meeting, I had the Placer Sierra Fire Safe Council meeting where we kicked off the community wildfire prevention plan update discussion. That plan basically encompasses a bunch of different projects for our area that we bring to the county and state and try and get funding for so we can get them taken care of. I also attended the Pioneer Audit and Finance Committee meeting. We're looking into a few things. As everybody's heard, Liberty Electric is no longer going to be supplying South Tahoe with power because they're diverting all their power to data centers and making all their purchases for that. I think that's going to be a major trend throughout the state and the country. Not only are they taking the water, they're taking all the power too. And basically the contracts are such that a corporation that's responsible to its shareholders is going to go with the person who's willing to pay more per kilowatt hour. So the residences and locals are not going to have any shot at securing power, basically, if they're in smaller groups like that. Makes it really hard to compete. And it's going to drive power prices even higher than PG&E wants to rack them to. So it's going to be interesting coming up here as they keep building these data centers. Also, just earlier today, I had a meeting with Caroline and city manager and the undersheriff. It was great to meet with him. We discussed making sure we keep downtown clean and safe for everyone, and the best ways to go about that, what things the city can do to help that out. We also discussed the new deputies that have come through. We're going to have 3 new deputies that are going to be on patrol and after this last shift rotation, and discussed some of the traffic issues, some of the e-bike issues and things like that too. So we're going to be working on that, making sure our ordinances are more modeled after Roseville and Rockland that already have them out. So we're not reinventing the wheel, and make sure we have something good and enforceable and start making an impact on that. Sheriff's Department's already out there making contact with the kids. I've seen a couple of instances already where they've just pulled up to the kids and just talked to them about safety and stuff like that. So we are working on making an impact, but kids will be kids. So I'm sure it'll take a little while to get the word out that there'll be enforcement and people are getting in trouble. Other than that, that's all I got. I hope I didn't steal your thunder on the sheriff meeting. All right.
Okay, I had a meeting in Auburn, Placer County Economic Development Board. The guest speaker there was a representative from the community-based organization called eat-well.org. And there's now an official program where excess food, whether it's a lobster or a steak or potatoes, can be given away to anybody free of charge. And if you go to that website, you can get your name and phone number and get on their list. So in the past, the food was either thrown in the trash or pig farmers would come by and pick it up, which is what they do at the local donut shop. They give the donuts to the pigs. I try to imitate a pig sometime and go over there. I missed your donuts cookies by. So anyhow, that's a website, and if you can't access it, give me a call and I'll give you the any other information you need. eat-well.org. Larry?
Just to add a little bit to what Sean said, most communities that have taken on these server farms or cloud, whatever you want to call it, have learned that it wasn't all it was expected to be. And because of the use of water and power, like Sean mentioned, it doesn't work out well for the communities and doesn't really provide jobs. And it hasn't really been a benefit. So if they come our way, we need to be wary. I want to thank Kim for attending that Economic Development Board meeting for me. He did it almost at the last minute. My day job sometimes interrupts. There's another one of those coming up in a few weeks that I will attend. Cindy Gustafson's Advisory Council meeting is coming up pretty quick. I think even next week probably. And I plan to attend that and represent us and collect whatever I learn there to bring back. And the Sierra Vista Center, they are more and more viable all the time. Their bank balances are building up. And next Tuesday, they're having a member meeting where they get to elect their board. And so things are rolling. I love going in that gym over there. It just smells good, you know, it makes me want to lace them up and start playing basketball, but that's not something I can do anymore. But I did notice that the older I get, the better I was.
Yeah.
And that's it for now.
So I am going to be reporting out along with Ron at the next city council meeting on our cap to cap. We do have pretty extensive notes and there was a lot of legislation movement both before we got there, while we got there, and in the time since we left, including some more funding coming into Placer County. So overall, it was a really good trip, but we'll give a more detailed report out with an agendized item at the next meeting, as well as a staff report. I did send Ron over some information regarding another CAL FIRE grant opportunity that has opened. So I am curious to see how we can try to augment that into the grant programs we're already currently running if possible.
So that grant's only for outside areas, not for residential. So we could use it at the cap, landfill cap and places
Right.
like that.
So we can use it for any of that defensible space project work. Okay, perfect. But we'll look more into that and report out on whether we're able to get a grant application in for that, because it's a pretty good chunk of money. And if we can keep everything under control, that'd be great. Other than that, I have nothing else to report out on today.
Thank you. Let's see, I had an air district control meeting, which they still have funding available in their grant, which is for replacement of items like for electric chainsaws and lawnmowers and stuff for nonprofits. So if there's any organizations that need those kinds of things, the air district control still has some of those. We've had a couple meetings and projects in with Four Leaf, which is the organization who's doing the FEMA grant. And some of our residents have been reached out to that their homes qualify on the first wave of list, and they're starting to work to get the first batch ready to go for FEMA, hopefully this fall. So that is in the process. As Sean said, we've had a couple meetings with the sheriff since springtime always brings a little bit more, rabble rousing around here. So we're trying to stay on top of that. I did go to Sean's Fire Safe Council meeting as well, because the FEMA grant was being talked about in addition to an additional grant that they're looking at applying for that will do more and more work up the hill, which will help us out, of course. I also did go to the flood control meeting this week for Sean as well, where they were discussing their budget and the rates for the communities, and we're looking on keeping that as low as possible. And I went to the state of the county address that they did in Lincoln, and they were discussing their general plan update. And it's nice to know that one of their priorities is definitely keeping parks and open spaces and the rural character of Placer County, because we are one of the only counties that is actually growing in California. So the fact that they, as the supervisors, want to keep that rural feel that Placer has is really important, especially when their agritourism is so important on it, because they bring in $242 million in agritourism in Placer County. So making sure to stay rural is very important to our bank account, which makes us extra lucky on that one. So that was a fun event to go to. And I think that was about it. So, City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Excuse me. We're continuing with the union negotiations, starting to knock things off the list. In the past, we've had on-call road repair services. And I've prepared an RFP that will go out to select a contractor who will perform work requiring specialized equipment, expertise, or staffing levels beyond the current capabilities of the Public Works Department. So we're going to bring that back. The paving at the Arco Tesla project should start this week, knock on wood. The lift station portion of the SCADA project is scheduled for site work to start the 1st of June. The maintenance department has been busy filling potholes on North Main Street, hillside vegetation removal across from the Arbor Park. If you look, they've cleaned that back up again this year. Started cleaning up activities in the back corner of the art park. So we're currently re-landscaping this back corner. This looked so bad for so long. They started that today. It shouldn't take them more than a week to finish that. Where am I? We're also looking at adding some electrical outlets that are needed by vendors during event use. This power, of course, will be shut off at the breaker panel when not in use. There'll be home run outlets to the stage and a couple along the building here because we keep running short on power. And that should solve that problem. And that's all I have for you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so we are moving on to council business, and the first item of council business this evening is our city clerk appointment. City manager.
Okay, chapter 2.12 of the City of Colfax Muni Code provides that city council, upon recommendation of the city manager, appoints the city clerk. Following the recruitment and interview process, staff is recommending the appointment of, and let's see, I don't mess up her name, Gabrielle Christakis. Okay, thank you. For the position of city clerk. She is here tonight to answer questions and introduce herself. If you'd come up to the podium, please.
Hello.
Green-
Gabrielle,
Is it the mic on, green button?
yes, yes, it is. Gabrielle, I go by Gabby, so it is appropriate. So won't be in here. And thank you for taking this opportunity to appoint me as your city clerk, should you. I look forward to working and serving you, the city of Colfax, and joining this small but mighty team. So if you have any questions.
So Gabrielle comes with prior city clerk experience and lots of finance experience, so she'll be able to help out all over the board.
Multitasking at its finest. We appreciate it.
I like it.
Do we have any comments or questions from the public? No. Okay, council?
I was gonna say, welcome to the land of many hats.
Yes, I like that.
Stick the words right up my
Yeah.
mouth. Welcome. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for coming.
Ron is very excited to hand over his hat.
I've gathered that.
After 9 months, please.
I would just say welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I welcomed her, but I do need an official motion to have her hired, if I can do that, please.
I move to approve the appointment of city clerk Gabrielle Christakis.
Yes. Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
good, because I might have looked at you if somebody said no. That one we would be concerned about. Thank you so much,
Thank
Gabby.
you.
Thank you to
Thank
the
you.
team. We're excited to have you. Yeah. Yes. So you'll be in here tomorrow at 8 o'clock and Ron can breathe, right?
Yeah, actually, she'll be starting Monday morning,
Monday.
bright and early.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, so our next item of council business this evening is discussion and adoption of a resolution authorizing the city manager to donate $5,000 to the 3rd of July nonprofit organization to help fund the fireworks display. And while I do not legally have to recuse myself from this, I am going to make that choice just because I am affiliated with them in a short way. So I'm turning this piece of paper with the yellow highlights over to Larry so he can run at the tail end of this conversation. Turn it over to Ron and you're good.
Just noticing I didn't get the hammer,
Oh.
but I can deal with that. No, I don't want the hammer.
You just restrain
So
yourself with
the
that thing.
recommended resolution 2026 authorizing the city manager to donate $5,000 to the 3rd of July nonprofit organization to help fund the fireworks display. First, are there any comments from the public?
Presentation.
Hello. Hello. Thank you for allowing us to speak with you today. My name is Caroline Glenn Presson, and I am the 3rd of July gal this 2026. The 2025 Colfax 3rd of July celebration was my first year organizing this event. And despite unexpected increases of roughly 3,000 additional visitors last year, the event was a tremendous success. Feedback from the public, vendors, and first responders was overwhelmingly positive, and the event ran smoothly even under those challenging circumstances. Our goal has never been to profit from the event. Instead, we focus on responsible event management while continuing to provide free community building events throughout the year, including Trunk or Treat, the downtown Easter egg hunt, seasonal activities, and holiday decorations for downtown Colfax. Planning for the 2026 celebration began last September with our nation's 2050th birthday and the holiday falling on a Friday. We recognized an opportunity to create an even larger and more memorable event for our community. To prepare, we have already hosted 12 fundraisers, partnered with local restaurants, brought back our I Bought the Works campaign, and organized community events such as Salsa Showdown, the Chili Cook-Off, the Soup Cook-Off, and despite weather-related setbacks, which have been many this year, that forced cancellations and reduced attendance at the events, we have still raised more than $15,000 through fundraising efforts, vendor fees, and corporate partnerships. And we still have donation possibilities that we're looking at. We're not done yet. However, between the fireworks display and essentials, which has increased this year because we want to, with the 250th anniversary, we want to try and put on a bigger display and, like I said, bigger boom, bigger bang. So, however, between the fireworks display and essential event expenses such as insurance, restrooms, law enforcement, marketing, and free family activities, we remain approximately $10,000 short of our goal. Originally, we did not intend to request city funding. However, after multiple fundraising challenges and seeing neighboring cities step in to support their celebrations, we felt it was appropriate to ask for partnership support from the city of Colfax. Our team is fully committed to handling all aspects of the event, including permitting, fundraising, vendor coordination, entertainment, setup, cleanup, and logistics. This celebration continues to grow each year and brings increased visibility, tourism, and economy activity to our local businesses. We understand fireworks are not universally supported, but they remain the centerpiece of the celebration and a major reason families travel to Colfax each year. Last year demonstrated just how important this event to our region and to our community was to our community identity. I added in this little short paragraph at the last minute because I looked up exactly why fireworks are so important to our patriotism, to our country, and our events for this celebration of the 4th of July. And I quote, and that they directly fulfill John Adams' 1776 version of celebrating independence with illuminations to mark the nation's birth. Since the first anniversary in 1777, fireworks have served as a patriotic moral booster symbolizing the bombs bursting in air. And it is a vibrant celebratory display of American freedom since our first celebration, July 4th of 1777. So I end with respectfully asking the city to partner with us in helping fund the fireworks display for the Colfax 2026 3rd of July celebration so we can continue providing this tradition for our residents, businesses, and visitors. And let me just add, last year, we did add that 3,000 visitor amount because we had the tragedy of the fireworks explosion and many other unfortunate events that happened, like Tahoe did not have their fireworks display because of theirs floating to the bottom of the lake. So we ended up with a lot more people, and we were fortunate enough to bring those people into our community. And those people tend to come back to areas that they've enjoyed themselves in, and it builds, visitors and tourism. And I think we benefit from that. So we are asking for these funds. We are still working to build our funds through fundraising. We plan several more fundraisers, and we are still working on donations from local businesses and area businesses.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Larry, do you mind if I ask a question real quick?
Go ahead.
Do we know how much we have left in the budget? I'm sorry, I didn't ask beforehand. I apologize. I meant to, especially earlier this afternoon when I was already here.
Not a problem. We've been working on the budget, or we'd have had that to you ahead of time. Out of the $30,000, we've spent 17,743.34, leaving us with 12,256.66.
We got any other regular events coming up
No, but there are other people that have been asking for money.
for before July 1st?
Yeah.
Okay. You got any idea on what ballpark or what they're looking at?
No,
No, just random asks.
no, they were just checking to see if there was any money left.
Got an idea of what groups?
It was the Larry Morales again.
Okay.
Bob Morales, sorry. I know a Larry, that
Okay, cool.
Larry said, yeah.
All right, that helped me with this. I'm sorry, do you want to take a comment? And now that I got that question, I have some comments, but whichever way you want to go with it.
Go ahead.
So I just had a quick question because on our agenda, it says 3rd of July nonprofit organization, but it doesn't actually list the name of or the EIN for a nonprofit. Which nonprofit is it?
It is for the 3rd of July. We have a DBA as 3rd of July.
The EIN is the same as Railroad Days, but they file a DBA to run under Colfax 3rd of July. So they are their own entity, have their own bank accounts. They do all that stuff on their own.
Okay.
The only thing that's the same is I file a taxes too.
So the DBA is filed with who?
It gets filed with the state.
Right, so it's with the Secretary of State.
Yes, Secretary of State,
What is the exact name of it? Because I couldn't
Colfax
find it.
3rd of July.
That's the full name? Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was published in the newspaper, the however many weeks they had to do and all that stuff. It was done.
Okay, are there any comments from the public? 5 minutes for an agendized item. Step forward if you have anything to say. Seeing nothing. Let's start with Sean.
Right.
Council comment.
Well, I'm going to say that this is probably one of the most important 3rd of Julys that we're ever going to celebrate, probably as a community, unless we make it another 250 years to 500. So I'd love to see this be the biggest fireworks event we've put on in this town. The fireworks do bring a lot of people, and if we advertise heavily that we're going to do this, I think it will. Especially with it being on a Friday this year, we're going to bring in a ton of people. I've seen this event happen so big that we had to bring additional deputies while the event was happening, including their mounted units and stuff. So I'd love to see it get almost that big because it got a little out of hand. But
I want to see a dunk tank with Sean in it.
I'm down.
I want to get in it too. Okay. I was going to say that was probably the most fun.
You're right behind me.
I know.
It was fun. That's all right.
We are working on it.
So dunk tank good. But I think this fireworks event needs to be our biggest yet, and we need to make sure we fully support this event as much as possible. I'd actually like to request that we put in, since they're $10,000 short, the additional 10,000. That'll leave us over 2,500 left. So if Bob comes to ask before July 1st, we can cover that, and then we're ready to start over. If he needs more after that, we can hit him again in July 1st.
Well, and we're going to probably re-review our budget later anyway. So.
Right, and we are going back over the budget, so if we need to tweak some numbers or whatever, but this is just so important, and this is really the last big payout we're going to have to make out of that fund this year.
Affirm that if you do choose to do that, every dollar will go straight for fireworks. We do want to increase the the show, and we want to make it a big one for this.
Yeah, I'd like to
So-
see, well, we're paying
Yeah.
about $1,000 a minute?
Did you guys get the quotes yet?
Well, we got a quote of 16,000. Yes, we did.
16,000 matches what you saw at Winterfest.
Yes.
And we didn't pay that much for it at Winterfest. But
It-
so,
We will pay more because
So,
of it, the
yeah.
timing.
but if you do decide to give more, we will call them up and Caroline will call them up and say, no, we're not going to do a $16,000 show. We'll do a 20.
That gives
We will
them,
do
if we do the
whatever
10,
yourself.
right, if we do the 10 now, that gives them the ability to make that call now, let them plan ahead and let them be able to build the additional fireworks that they need to put on a better show for us. That's kind of my thought process behind that. And that takes some of the pressure off for the
That doesn't
fundraising.
mean we will not continue to fundraise, and
And then the extra money they make can go into the
Donation.
fundraising or put back into the next event, next 3rd of July for next year, and they don't have to worry about coming to ask us for as much.
Yeah.
exactly.
So that's my thought on it. And see what you guys want to do.
Kim?
You know, I've always enjoyed the cannon that they set off. Is that during railroad days? That's very neat. I think if we're gonna allocate some more money, I think we ought to get that. That would be something special that we do that other people don't do. Get that cannon back.
I can call and ask them. I
Yeah.
don't know their availability, but I can call and ask.
And I certainly wouldn't want to displease John Adams. That's all.
I threw that in there.
Trinity?
Sorry, I was just trying to look something up, but I think oh wait, we already took public comment. So I'm definitely supportive of funding it. I think what we did last year was we just wrote a check directly to the vendor for you guys, right?
That was 2 years ago.
Okay.
I had that organization you did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last year, we asked for
The French asked for 78 and dropped it down to
68. Yeah,
If you're more comfortable giving the check to the vendor, we don't.
yeah, we don't care.
He
Yeah.
can get paid in 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be clean and easy if we were to write a check directly to the vendor for it. And then what we can do is authorize up to whatever amount makes sense so that you guys have time to get a quote.
Absolutely.
And then that way it's easy. So
Mhm.
then that way we can just send it over and then cut the check to them. And then that way we don't have to come back to council because I don't want this to get delayed. I want it to be as quick as possible. And the quickest way to get money in their hands is to write the check directly to the vendor. So
No problem, absolutely.
I know you guys are probably trying to get the reservation on that by when?
I've already set up with him. We just need to know how much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, I
So
mean,
even
we're
if you guys
using the
increase, he
same
has the
guy that we
availability.
used last year and that you guys used for Winterfest, which everybody was very impressed with that show.
So there's
It's
no
just-
supply question though, right?
No, it's
Okay,
not a
'cause
supply.
that was what
It
I was
is
concerned
a-
about.
Yeah, no, we just would like to know what direction we're going, how big we're gonna do this. And we'd like to make it an impressionable event this year.
Because I'm with Sean, it's the 250th, which means
It's
there's
a
going to
big
be a
one.
lot more demand.
It's a
of
big
that, So we want to try to get, whatever.
And with last
size.
year's event being so big, I think we drew a lot more attention from surrounding areas, and I think people will come back.
Last year's show was incredible, and I know you guys are going to blow it out of the water this year. So, yeah, we want to make sure that we're first in line because that was my whole thing was like with it being the 250th, I was concerned
Mhm.
that others
No,
would
we-
be like, oh,
we
we're taking up
already-
all
yeah.
that supply and.
Yeah,
So no,
no,
that's great news. But yeah, I'm comfortable with the $10,000 contribution direct to vendor. I'm good with that.
I have to say, I'm not especially comfortable with giving $10,000 at this time. We have other organizations in town that might be asking us for funds. We have about $12,000 left. I'd be more comfortable around the 7,500 area, or a situation where if you successfully raised money or made a profit, that money would come back to the fund and not be not be kept until next year's 3rd of July. That's what I would rather see. Other profits, but, or if we spent it all on fireworks, then I'd probably be okay with that. But I'm
It would all
uncomfortable
go-
about using up, we only have $12,000 left. We have like 6 or 7 weeks to go. That only leaves 2,000 for other nonprofits that might need some help. So I'd like to find some kind of a compromise, but that's just my opinion. And then the second thing I would say is that Trinity asked for an EIN number. And I think that this is the last time that I would support giving money to the 3rd of July until the 3rd of July has their own organization. I don't like the idea of shared responsibility, which is what we're in now. I think that combining money, I'm not even sure that that's an appropriate thing to do. And
Let me clarify.
well, let me finish.
Let me make this very clear. We have our own separate bank accounts. We have our own separate funding. We have our own separate money. We do not combine anything but her doing our taxes. That is absolutely it.
I trust you.
You'd have
But-
to. I mean, you can come in, you can take a look at our books. We
I don't want to look at your books.
absolutely I have my own bank account, have my own money set aside, separate.
You're
from-
hearing an accusation that I'm not making. I'm just saying that this is the last year that I would support that unless you have, or 3rd of July has a separate organization, a separate corporation. And I will check by then to find out. I don't think a DBA is enough cover for that. I believe that I formed a nonprofit corporation. A nonprofit corporation has a mission, and there's nothing in the Railroad Days mission that talks about 3rd of July. And I think that should be separated. And it's not really that hard, but it's not going to affect my support this year, but it will next.
So I actually understand your point on that one. And being as I'm the president of Railroad Days is why I want to address this. First and foremost, under that thought process, the Green Machine should have never received funding for the 3rd of July for all the years they ran it. So I'm just going to throw that out there because you have multiple groups that run multiple types of events because it requires the nonprofits to be able to run them for it. And in reality, while you say that the nonprofits are easy to do, it is also a pain in the butt to be able to run through what we have to do accounting wise, logging wise. And this woman already runs a successful business in town. And if she wants to do that on her, I have no objections to her doing it. That was the decision in the beginning. I told her, you can set up your own and I'll show you how to do it. Or you can do it under Railroad Days and that's fine. In regards to the mission statement, it has been rewritten. Absolutely. We have expanded the board on Railroad Days in addition to that because of it. We have a meeting set with our web designer to update that website to reflect more things that we do. And the way that the mission statement is being rewritten, it's not just for Railroad Days. It is about supporting community, keeping community together and our history as a whole. It's not focused just on one specific event. So I do absolutely agree with you on the mission statement. And that was one of the things that we had that discussion over when she decided to run under the DBA for doing the 3rd of July. So those things are absolutely being updated to match what you're asking for.
I trust you guys to do it right, but it sounds like that mission statement isn't yet done, right? You're working on it?
Oh, it's written, absolutely. I haven't adjusted it to put it on the website. That's all.
Well, it has to go more than on the website. The state of California is the one that keeps track of that. Look, I'm not sure why you're so against doing that, but that's
Well,
just my comment.
It's a lot of work and we have a combined commitment to our community. We're not doing this we're not a nonprofit doing this for any other reason other than our community. And these two events are community driven and community centered. And that is basically the bottom line. If I have to go through all that, I won't do it again next year. That is too much work. We already have a foundation set. These two events are strictly community-driven events. We do not profit from this. We're not doing this for any other reason than our community. So we think that combining these two events, in this sense, is the smartest way to go. It's just the easiest and smartest way to make this happen for our community.
I'm not going to add anything. You don't have to defend what you've done already.
No,
I'm talking only about the future.
This route. There's no other reason.
I know why tax exempt nonprofit corporations are created and where the responsibility should lie. And if that corporation that you're both under now goes through the trouble of redefining their mission and going back to the Secretary of State and the Attorney General and whoever else you have to go to, that you go through that process and get that done, then I'd probably be open to it. But I would have to see it first. Not.
Absolutely. We've already made those communications and we're on that, right? We're on that track.
Oh, just one last comment. We were drafting an ordinance about this maybe a year ago. And one of the things that was in that ordinance was it had to be a tax exempt corporation. And we were working on the words of it, but it never really went anywhere. It hasn't been finished.
Well, when you
But that was the first draft of it. That's what it said.
Well, I don't see anybody else stepping up to take over these events. So
We're not talking about anybody else. I don't care about anybody else.
It's kind of with that kind of stuff, then, we're working we know we've contacted the proper people and we're working on our mission statement and we've got it written up. We just have to get it out there and that's the track we're on.
My only comment would be working on it doesn't get it done, right? Just do
We've
it.
done it. We just have to,
Do what you're going to do and I'll probably like it.
I'm sure you will.
So I'm ready to make a motion that the city make a direct payment to vendor of up to $10,000, depending on what scope you guys negotiate for the pricing with the vendor. So they'll send the invoice to the city will go ahead and pay it. And we will associate that payment with FBN number 25-02427, which is the Colfax 3rd of July DBA FBN for Colfax Railroad Days, Inc. And then we'll associate that with the Colfax Railroad Days EIN. I will put this in writing for you to make your life easier. But that way we have it nice and clean. That's my motion, is that we'll go ahead and include those numbers in there so that if these questions continue to come up, it's all there for everyone to be able to see.
Absolutely.
I second that articulation.
Any further comment? Call for a vote. Sean?
All in favor, right? You gonna do, or do you want to do a roll call?
Yeah, it's probably.
I'd like to, yeah.
Yourself.
Yeah.
Aye.
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 Send him a text saying we're increasing the fire.
Motion carries.
I will do that promptly. Thank you.
Pointed out the 50th anniversary celebration too. And
business and then.
Okay. Okay. So we're going to move right on to where we at. The next item of council business this evening is discussion and adoption of a resolution authorizing the city manager to file claims or execute agreements for local transportation funds and state transit assistant funds. City manager?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Tonight, Katrina Olson, Administrative Services Officer here for the city of Colfax, and she's going to discuss the 2025-2026 local transportation funds and the state transit assistance fund claim documentation and answer any of your questions.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Annually, the city prepares a claim for the submission to Placer County Transportation Planning Agency to receive allocated local transportation funds and state transit assistance funds. Staff has completed the required claim documentation. The total being allocated to the city of Colfax for LTF funding for this year is $225,269, which is slightly higher if you look at 24-25 than the 139,964. Additionally included in that 225,000 is 81,000 for the Colfax Roseville Fund Swap per resolution 2522 that happened a couple of years back. If you remove that, the actual allocation is $144,518, which is about 3.3% higher than the previous fiscal year. The total amount of STA funds allocated to the city for fiscal year 25-26 is $15,136, which is a drop of about 14.5%. Overall, including the 81,000 to that whole total, we're receiving 53% more, but again, 81% contributed to a prior year swap where we didn't take those funds. In addition to the current year state assistance funds available for the transit, the city has a carryover balance of 63,661, which is separately funded for basically depot capital improvements. This is basically a standard claim that the city files every year. If you have any questions, I'm happy to entertain those.
Okay, thank you so much, Katrina. Do we have any comments or questions from the public first? Okay, doesn't look like it. So questions and comments from the council?
I have one. Is this restricted to just capital improvements or repairs, or it's open to us to use anyway?
No, the STA funding is specific for transit and transit costs. So we do have an agreement with Placer County for certain transit services that we get updated on every year as part of our agreement. This year, I want to say it's 21,000. So we'll get a bill from Placer County or a charge from Placer County, and some of those transit funds go towards that. And then the LTF funding is for basically it goes into our streets and roads fund, the Fund 250. So it covers all of the activity that goes on in the streets and roads fund.
And we can spend that as we decide, right? That 225 I'm talking about.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. If we don't have any other questions, can I have a motion, please?
I'll move approval. Oh, move approval.
Okay. Do we have a second?
A second.
Larry's got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nobody opposed. All right, motion passes. Thank you so very much. All right, so our next item of council business this evening is to review and approve the City of Colfax budget calendar for fiscal year 26-27. City Manager.
Okay, and again, Katrina is here to answer questions and shed a little light on this. Katrina?
Okay, so on March 11th, we reviewed and approved a calendar that included a budget workshop for April 29th, which that's in there. I also included an updated calendar. Primarily, or basically, the budget planning started the day after the budget calendar was adopted. Getting comfortable with the budget and kind of reworking it a little bit, so it makes, a little bit more sense, maybe a little bit clearer, and getting a little bit more detailed input from some of the department heads and just spending a little bit more time with it. I had asked if we could basically change that, postpone it to be determined. I'm proposing tonight that we update that workshop date to May 20th, which is next Wednesday, and look at the first draft of the proposed estimated year-end close numbers, as well as the proposed budget for 26-27.
Okay. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions or comments from the public? No? Council?
I'm just wondering if this room might be committed to Cindy Gustafson's advisory council that night. They usually meet on the I think it's this month is the next one's coming up, and it's usually on the third Wednesday.
It's the whack, it's her whack.
Yeah, it used to be WACMAC. Now it's got a different name, but that might.
I'm open to if you, we could do, we could do that Thursday, the following day, if it conflicts.
Give me 1 second. I'm looking it up to see if we can find the date on that,
Yeah.
Larry.
I meant to do that before I came, but I ended up rushing out.
Find the schedule.
It's hard to find, but.
It is. It's well, no, but it says meeting location is the father's house on Brady Lane in Roseville. It is that same Wednesday, May 20th, but it's not here. Yeah, so it's.
They have one that night. She has.
Yeah, it's
6 or 8. I'm wondering about this one, but if she's having another one that night, then clearly can't be here. It's not going to be here.
Yeah.
So she won't be here.
But yeah, it's the West Placer Municipal Advisory Council, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the right one. Is it the way, did I pull up the wrong one? Hold on.
No, because they changed it, you're right, it's the West.
It's the West Placer, right? I'm like, nothing else sounds right. Okay, so yeah, so there is a meeting, but it is down in Roseville.
So is there concern with the budget?
No,
Well,
it was space conflict.
okay,
'cause-
okay.
Yeah,
So the
I was gonna say, if we
smiling
find
face.
there's a problem, we can just, council can vote to shift it to the next day.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it doesn't look like there's any conflict.
It just surprises me because all the people that might want to attend are up here. And this particular advisory commission met up here for that reason. So I'd be very surprised if they decided to change it for this particular month and make everybody go down to Roseville.
I think they did the same thing they did with the fire safe councils where they wanted to try and consolidate them. So I think they consolidated it and they're moving the meetings around to different locations now.
I don't have any conflict with the date as far as I know.
We good?
So do we want to do it for the 20th then? Wednesday,
Yep.
6th, the 20th?
That works.
Okay, we'll have an agenda posted up then this Friday that will have your staff report and exhibits, and then I'll pare it down to a really nice, concise presentation for you next Wednesday.
Okay. So technically, go ahead.
Before then, I'll reach out to Cindy's staff and find out.
Oh, are you
Okay.
concerned that
No.
it might get changed?
Hold on, Trinity may have a conflict.
I do have a conflict. I'm sorry. Maybe we can just notice my location. It is.
Yeah.
Sorry, I suck.
No, you have a real life. It's okay.
Or Thursday,
Yeah.
Thursday is, if Thursday's more doable,
You wanna do the
Thursday would work.
I
I just don't want to push it out beyond next week
Yeah.
because then I'm getting too close to bringing it to you.
Let's
June
just stick
10th.
with Wednesday. And before we publish the agenda, let me give you my location because there is a very real possibility based on the alerts I'm getting right now that I don't know where I'm gonna. I might end up being in the Verk, so.
Okay. All right, so then I need a motion then to go ahead and move this meeting to next Wednesday, the 20th. Can I get one, please?
I move to approve the updated budget calendar for 26,
I'll second
27.
it. Oh, good. He's got the second.
Okay, Larry's got the second.
No, Kim.
Oh, Kim, was it Kim?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Kim second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, awesome. We will see you next Wednesday. Thank you. Motion passes. There we go. All right, so we will move into good of the order. So go ahead, Sean, kick us off with good of the order.
Excited to see the other fundraising events 3rd of July is going to put on. And also just want to say I'm looking forward to us having a nice downtown this summer. Got a lot of good work going on there and keeping our downtown safe and clean. So that's all I had. Thanks.
Okay, the good thing I have to say is we should make this 3rd of July special, I agree. And one way is to have that cannon, which I already mentioned. Another way is to get a fleet of drones to fly by prior to the fireworks. the American flag waving, fleet of drones.
If you can find enough drone operators to volunteer their time and energy,
it-
we will happily welcome them 100%.
It only takes one person. It controls all the drones.
All right, so whoever's got that many drones
Yeah.
and willing to volunteer, call Caroline. I'm sure she will jump on it.
Another option is up in Dutch Flat, they get on the 4th of July, they get a World War II airplane flyby. Now, that would be another possibility. So those are the good things that I had to think of. Larry. How about the phony cannon? And then the drones turn their lights out like they've been.
I just want to comment that downtown is getting to be more and more of a happening place, which is why I got on the council in the first place. Really pleased to see, I got a walk through the hotel with the owner and became familiar with his plans. We have another one of those bazaars coming up. We have 5 music events happening this summer. We have a new business that might get open. The art store. I'm not sure if he'll get done in time. That's in between Snapdragon and Wrecking Crew. And it just pleases me to see all that. It's starting to happen, and I think it'll roll on. And the 3rd of July just would be the icing on the cake. Also, maybe you all know this already. I found somebody that was willing to fund moving the caboose, and that process is underway. And he's also willing to fund a playground for little kids in the area that got left behind. And there are some other ideas for that area that will be worked out and make it a really pleasant corner to be on. Something that has a shade structure or a roof without any walls. So the visibility in that whole corner will improve, and I think it'll work out for everybody. I'm just happy to see it.
Larry, I'm thrilled that you got to go over and wander through the hotel. We were hoping they were going to be here today to be able to do their presentation, but Taylor is graduating, so they have flown out to see that. But it is on their schedule to be here at our next council meeting to be able to share with everybody their plans. So that is absolutely in the process. Remind everybody to come out. Tomorrow is the first farmers market for the season. So make sure to show up down here and enjoy the farmers market. And I think that is about all that I have. So do we have any public comment on anything we specifically mentioned on good of the order? Okay. At that point, we will go ahead and close our meeting for this. We do have some closed sessions, so the open meeting is adjourned and we will see you guys all soon.